Hello, this is Pastor Frank Lewis, and welcome to another program in which I'm going to be talking to you about identity and how much identity affects all your relationships. You know, identity really is something that influences every area of your life. It influences the person, it really causes you to marry the person you marry. It has a direct influence on the work you do and the career you choose. It has direct influence on your relationship with God, your relationship with others, even your relationship with yourself, and even your destiny. So as you can see, identity is very, very important in your life, and it's very important in everybody's lives. What is identity? It is what you believe about yourself. So you're going to hear today about how it affects all your relationships. The truth is, every relationship you have, friendships, marriage, parenting, church community, work relationships, and even how you relate to strangers is filtered through the lens of your identity. That's just a truth. It really is important. Your identity is not who you say you are on the surface. It is the internal voice that tells you how much you matter, whether you belong, whether you are safe in a certain situation, what you deserve, how people see you, and what you must do to stay connected. So your identity is really important. Your identity shapes everything about how you relate to people. It really influences your interpretations of their reactions towards you and your reactions towards them, your expectations and even your boundaries. Your identity determines whether you are authentic, really vulnerable and transparent, or armored and defensive, or worse yet, invisible. The truth is, you don't relate to people based on who they are. You relate to them based on who you believe you are. Now, I want to look deeper into more of the specific things about your identity and how it influences your relationships with people. Before I do, I want to tell you about the book that I wrote. I wrote this book called The Key. It's the key to what? The Key to Emotional Healing. And this book is really important. You can get it at Amazon. You really need to have it because it's going to be critical for your emotional healing. And you're going to find out that unless you're emotionally healed, you're not going to be your true authentic self, the person that God made you. I also have a YouTube channel on identity. I have about 15, 16 videos on there now, and it's all on identity. And it's called At Identities Restored, At Identities Restored. And it's plural, identities. Then I have a website, identityrestored.net. And those are just three of the resources that you need to know about, and you'll enjoy those videos. So I'm going to now dig in a little deeper and talk about the specifics about how your identity affects relationships. Your identity and what you believe about yourself determines whether you feel safe with people. When your identity has been damaged and distorted, you probably will live with a constant emotional question, am I safe? Not physically, but emotionally. If your identity was shaped by rejection, harsh criticism, emotional abandonment, and chaos, betrayal, or conditional love, then your nervous system does not interpret connection as being safe. It just doesn't allow you to be able to connect with people in a normal and a life-giving way. Instead, you may keep people at arm's length, never fully open up, appear strong but feel weak and lonely. Expect betrayal. Oh, I know people that absolutely sabotage relationships because they expect betrayal. Feel anxious when people get too close. That happens in dating. It happens in pre-marriage stuff. That's a problem. And you choose emotionally unavailable people when you're in that condition because it feels normal. It feels familiar. And that's what's going to happen. And you can't really stop that from happening because it's the way you believe. When you have enough emotional healing, remember, this is the part, you've got to get emotional healing. That's why I wrote the book. And then you will be able to be known. You'll be able to be honest, vulnerable, and transparent. You'll be able to depend and find healthy people. You'll be able to realize connections are a gift and not a danger. Your identity determines the emotional distance you keep in relationships. And your identity shapes how you interpret people's behavior. This is a real problem because people that are damaged and distorted in their identity really believe that they are not going to have the right relationship because people just acted a certain way, like they didn't get back to them in a timely manner that they say with their cell phone, with their texting or something like that. Your identity acts like a filter over your eyes. You can't see even. You can't see. Two people can experience the exact same tone and the exact situation, but interpret it completely different based on who they believe they are. For example, when your identity has been damaged and distorted, you will hear, they didn't text back. Well, I just talked about that one. They must not care about me. That's what you'll think. They corrected me, so I'm a failure. They gave me feedback, so that makes me less than. They are upset with me, I must have done something wrong. They set a boundary, so they're really rejecting me. Is all that true? No, but that's the way, it's your truth. And that's the way you interpret it when you have damaged and distorted identity. When you have more emotional healing, you will hear, they didn't get back to me. They're probably busy. They corrected me. I need to be able to know what I'm doing that's not doing it well. They are upset with me. That doesn't have anything to do with me, or they set a boundary. Well, boundaries are very healthy. Very, very important part of knowing how to have good boundaries. Your identity, what you think about yourself, determines whether you feel attacked, grounded, rejected, protected, judged, or safe. You'll notice there are opposites in a number of those. Your identity also drives your relational style. What is a relational style? Well, people tend to fall into certain relational styles based on their identity. These styles are really emotional strategies you learned as a child to protect yourself. This is some of these styles. Number one, let's talk about the pleaser. Are you a people pleaser? The identity is I must earn love. So I've got to keep people happy. And so you avoid conflict. You over-apologize when you make a mistake over and over again. You say yes when you really mean no. You suppress your feelings. And you seek approval constantly. That's part of just who you are, seeking approval, trying to make everybody happy. Now, there's another strategy, and that is the performer. The identity is, I am what I achieve. And so therefore you need to impress people. You fear failure, very much fear failure. You try to be perfect or a perfectionist. You struggle to rest. You are not able to relax easily. You believe your worth comes from your productivity, what you achieve, what you can do. Here's another one, the protector. Identity, no one will hurt me again, okay? So your survival strategy is I'm going to protect myself at all costs. So you're distant or guarded. Your words are not vulnerable. You are avoiding vulnerability. You don't trust easily. You stay self-reliant. You're independent. You don't need anyone. You struggle with emotional closeness. Now here's another one, the fixer. This identity is, it's my responsibility to make sure everything's okay. This was my wife. Oh my gosh, was she the fixer? She was the caretaker. Now that's another name for the fixer. So she took responsibility for others' emotions. She attracted broken and chaotic people. You will do exactly the same if you are a caretaker or fixer. You feel guilty resting. You often act like a parent in the relationships you have. Now, here's another one, the invisible one. This is one that's really shut down. I don't matter is the identity, is the belief. You avoid expressing needs, you minimize yourself, you take up little emotional space. You're just kind of withdrawn, sitting in the corner when everybody else is having the party. You're feeling unworthy of being seen or heard. So those are just a few. There's actually a number more, but this is the ones that I chose. None of these survival strategies are personality traits. They're not who you are. They're who you had to become in order to survive or get your needs met. And it actually became a false self. And they're coping skills, and they are not personality traits. They just look like it. People may say that's your personality. It's really not. When you are emotionally healed enough, then you'll be able to relate to people by being honest and setting good boundaries and being empathetic. You'll be able to get into other people's shoes. You'll be able to love them more unconditionally. You'll have confidence. You'll gain respect, and you'll be more emotionally present. I have people that I work with in the groups that I do, my reparenting groups, and sometimes they're talking to a person, but looking over here, looking over there, they're not emotionally present. And your identity shapes how you handle conflict. Conflict is not about communication. See, there's so many marriage therapists and counselors that say marriage conflict is about communication. No, it's not. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Why is it not? It's about your identity. That's what causes the conflict. When your identity has been damaged or distorted, you're going to feel threatened when conflict arises. Common responses you may have when there's relational conflict are you'll shut down. You'll get angry. That's what I used to do. You'll withdraw. You'll over-explain yourself. You'll become defensive. You'll carry the blame to keep the peace. It must be my fault. I did something wrong, just so you can keep the peace. Why? Because conflict to a damaged identity feels like a threat to belonging, worth, or safety. I mean, that's how conflict feels to a damaged and distorted identity. It really, you feel like your worth is under attack. When you are more emotionally healed, you will see conflict as an opportunity to understand. Get in the other person's shoes. Find out what they're thinking. A normal part of relationship. Absolutely it is. I worry about people that say, my mom and dad were married for 60 years and never, had one or two conflicts. Well, that's a problem. Somebody's not speaking up. Somebody's not their true authentic self. In that situation, a place where both people can remain safe and connected even in disagreements. See, disagreements are just because of identity. It's because of the survival strategies. It's because of the false self. What you believe about yourself determines whether conflict is a war or a battle, or whether it's a doorway to deeper intimacy. Intimacy is into me you see, a door to be able to be more vulnerable, more transparent, more known. That's what we're after. Because that's what's satisfying. That's what God created us for. Your identity determines your boundaries. Your boundaries are not behaviors. They are reflections of your identity. If you feel like you are valuable and you're confident, you'll set good boundaries. Why? You don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want people stepping on your toes and thinking it's okay. You just don't want that. If you struggle with self-worth, you will allow disrespect. If you fear abandonment, you won't say no. If you believe you must fix others, you ignore your limits. You boundary bust people. That's no good. If you believe you don't matter, you will overextend yourself, work too hard, not sleep enough, not take care of yourself, do too much. That's what I did. If you fear rejection, you will lose yourself in your relationships. That's what my wife did. She lost herself in her relationships. When you are more healed emotionally and you're not having so much out of your not living so much out of your survival skills, then you will create more healthy boundaries, such as you will give yourself permission to say no. You won't feel you're responsible for everyone. My wife felt she was responsible for everyone. It just made everything chaos. She was raised in chaos. You may have been raised in chaos. If you've been raised in chaos, you're going to create it until you become more emotionally healed. As you become more truly authentic self, you will believe I deserve to be respected. You will say, I can walk away from unhealthy people. You can say, my needs matter too. I matter. My needs matter. Your identity shapes your attachment style. Now, attachment styles are a subject unto themselves, but let's look at how attachment styles really are affected by your identity. What do I mean by attachment styles? How did you attach to your mom or dad or both? Did you attach, it's like a light that comes on. You know, your attachment need comes up and your mom and dad ignore it. Well, then you're going to be more shut down. We call it dismissive attachment. If your light is on and your mom and dad or both gave you attention sporadically, some here, some there, you're not totally shut down. You're actually looking for people to attach to. And then if you were raised like I was, in real fear of my father, then you're going to be disorganized. And so we're going to look at that right now. And disorganized means you don't know whether you're coming or going, and I didn't. In relationships, are they safe? Are they, I don't know what I'm doing. When you are more your true authentic self, then you will have a more secure attachment. And very few people have secure attachments, I will tell you this. You will be comfortable with closeness. You will have open and honest communication. You will be able to know where you end and another person begins. In other words, you'll have definition. You won't be codependent. You won't be looking outside of yourself. But this takes a lot of emotional healing to have a secure attachment. You'll have stable relationships. When your identity has been damaged and distorted like mine was, you and my wife's, you will have rejection, abandonment. If you suffered a rejection and abandonment, then what's going to happen? You're going to be anxious and have an anxious, detached attachment style. You will be fear losing people. You will analyze everything. You'll be craving and needing real assurance. okay? When you have been criticized and shamed, your identity is damaged, you will avoid people. That's the person that's dismissive. They're shut down. They dismiss people. You will push people away, dismiss. You will not be able to be known and transparent. You will struggle with being vulnerable. When you have been traumatized, like I was, you will have difficulty, a difficult time with all of your relationships, and that's exactly what happened to me. This is called the disorganized attachment. You will have chaotic relationships, which is what I did. You will have an internal push to be in relationships that are not healthy. You will crave love like I did, but you'll be afraid of getting it. How you operate and attach in relationships is not about personality. It's not because you have a great personality that you can attach better. The person that's distracted with the light that the father and mother just did sporadically, they take up all the air in the room. They're codependent. They need people to tell them they're okay. And so it's not personality. It is actually identity. When you get enough emotional healing, then the way you relate to people will transform. It'll automatically transform. Your identity influences who you are attracted to and who you choose to be in relationship with. You will relate to others from your damaged identity. If you believe that you don't deserve love, then you're going to choose people who will mistreat you. If you believe I must be needed, you will choose broken or emotionally demanding people. If you believe that you need to be quiet, you will choose dominant and controlling people in your relationships. If you believe love must be earned, guess what? You will choose partners and relationships who withhold affection, because now you've got to earn their affection. If you believe you are unworthy, you will reject healthy people and your partners that are healthy because they feel so unfamiliar. It doesn't feel right to you. That's where chemistry comes in. If somebody feels right to you and you've not done your emotional healing, you're going to have problems. You're going to have serious problems. How you see yourself will cause you to choose relationships that are dysfunctional, will be hurtful until you get emotionally healed. That's just the way it is. You'll actually be a magnet to unhealthy people. If you don't get your emotional healing in relationships, in marriage, any which way, you're going to be a magnet to unhealthy people that will hurt you and take advantage of you. And this is what narcissists do to women that are, in particular, it happens with men too, but very needy. Very needy women get taken advantage of. Very needy men do too by strong women. Until you get enough emotional healing, people who reinforce what you believe about yourself will actually feel right. I said that already. And you will have, quote unquote, chemistry with them. Let me tell you, that magnetism is not healthy. You want to run from that, actually. People who challenge your beliefs feel off. They don't feel right. So the chemistry, it is not there. When you get more emotional healing, then you will find chemistry changes as you are attracted to more healthy people. Your identity determines also whether you bring God or your wounds into your relationships. When you are more emotionally healed and you are more your true authentic self, the one that God created you to be, you will relate to others with grace, with wisdom, with patience, with truth, with healthy boundaries, and with more love and more unconditional love. When your identity is damaged, you will relate to others in fear, in insecurity, in trauma responses. By being emotionally reactive, you'll go off the handle, or you're shut down too far, or you run away too fast. You'll be needing self-protection, and you will bring your patterns, all your survival patterns into your relationship. Your identity determines whether you give love freely or from a place of emotional reactivity, or do you manipulate to get love? You don't feel you're worthy of love, so you manipulate to get it. That's way big problem in our world. Your identity determines whether you forgive from strength and enable from fear. Your identity determines whether you show up authentically or hide behind the numbness, or you're shutting down. Your identity determines whether your relationships drain you or strengthen you. Are they emotionally healthy? Are they life-giving? The truth is, when your identity is more healed, then every relationship heals and your relationships improve, just because they won't improve because you try harder. They'll improve because you got emotionally healed. They are more life-giving because you have received enough emotional healing for you to relate to people from what? More of your true authentic self. When you are more emotionally healed and have become more your true authentic self, you will relate more from a healed identity, so you will relate to others from love instead of fear. Choose relationships based on peace instead of pain. Interpret people's actions accurately instead of through your wounds. Set boundaries and communicate more effectively. When you become your true authentic self, you will stop recreating your past and your present. You will relate to people more as the person God created you to be, and your relationships will finally reflect who God created you to be. See, the whole key to having me do this series on identity is so that you can find out you're not the person that God created you to be, but you can become the person God created you to be by getting emotionally healed. And when you get emotionally healed, you're going to not be your false self, you're going to be more your true authentic self.